This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good evening. Today is Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. This is the Zoning Board of Appeals for the City of Easthampton. Well, the order, is there anyone here to speak concerning anything that is not currently on the agenda for this evening? I'm going online, so that makes it very simple. All right, so our first applicant is Nathan Davis, seeking a special permit pursuant of Chapter 11.12 and Chapter 12.07 in Easthampton zoning ordinance. Applicant is seeking approval to extend a porch within the setback area in line with a pre-existing non-conforming porch attached to a single-family home. The property is located in R35 zoning district at 30 Chapin Street, map 147, lot 26. Mr. Davis, are you here to speak concerning your application?
I am.
And what are you looking to do, sir?
So just as you said, we're looking to replace an existing front stoop porch structure as well as an existing flower bed with a covered porch taking up the exact same footprint as what's already there. So it'll be the exact same setback as the current porch and flower bed from both the road and our neighbor.
Okay, and it will not be any more non-conforming than the existing.
Correct.
The review this, it maintains the non-conformity.
The only reason it's here is because it's a pre-existing non-conforming as opposed to just non-conforming.
Correct. It maintains the non-conformity, which requires the finding from the board to make sure that that maintenance of that is not substantially more detrimental than what currently exists.
Okay. Pretty straightforward to me.
Yeah.
Are there any members of the board that have any questions or concerns about what's being proposed? Okay. Max, want to make sure you're here, you can hear us and we can hear you.
Yep, and I'm looking at all the things you're looking at too. I'm 99% sure. Yep, no questions for me.
Okay. So with that said, I will open it up to the public. Is there anyone who has any questions or concerns with the application? Okay, with that said, we will close the public hearing. Discussion among the board. Oh, pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so with that, I believe we will look for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the special permit pursuant to 11.12 and 12.7 of the zoning ordinance for Nathan Davis to get approval to extend a porch within a setback area in line with the pre-existing non-conforming porch attached to the single-family home at 30 Chapin Street.
All right. Can I get a second?
A second, yes.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay. Seeing 5 in favor, that leaves none opposed. Motion carries. So with that said, sir, we will, our friend here, Dylan, will write up the approval and the minutes of the meeting, and at which point you will be notified. Then it will take a few days to do that. Sure. Then there is a 20-day appeal period, at which point you'll be notified that you can pick it up and you can then post it with, go to the Hampshire County Registry of Deeds, and you can then submit that to the registry, and you are then able to pull a permit to do your construction.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody.
We appreciate your honesty and candor.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, have a great evening.
Thanks.
I'll be in touch as soon as that sounds
Great.
completed.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you. We have anyone else online? Do we have any notification for the next?
Yeah, I don't. I didn't receive anything saying that nobody was not coming, but I did not receive anything saying anybody was coming either. So this is, not entirely sure what TCB was looking to do tonight. I was expecting them to be here, or at least have somebody here.
We want to check upstairs again or?
I was just up there. It was empty.
Okay.
Just FYI.
Let me do quick outreach to anybody over there to see kind of what their plan is. And
Okay.
then we'll go from there. So we'll just take a quick
Yeah, we'll
pause.
take a quick pause.
Yeah, excellent.
All
It's fine.
Sir.
Defect.
When the original list of butters came out, there was a error either in what was submitted or the location or something. Notify everyone. And so we had to restart the hearing.
Yep. That's about one.
So that was, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There is, that's true. Pre-existing, and it wasn't going to be any. Or. Because there were a bunch of nuisance.
Yeah.
Yes, they were getting.
I think it's something we talked about that the building and commissioner should be able to say, okay, but I don't know if that was actually ever changed.
I don't remember. There was something, because there was a letter, because we get a bunch of these.
Yeah, like they should have said.
Ah.
I shouldn't even have said that.
Yeah, don't say chicken.
So we do. We didn't.
And it just, those two.
Hello, everyone. So I bear partial responsibility for TCB not being here. The city's legal counsel had reached out to me with some questions related to these changes. He had been speaking with TCB's legal counsel, and it was sort of a rushed process. They're up against a deadline on April 15th with some of their with some of the appeals process in the court. So in the mix of communication between lawyers and me, it never made its way to TCB that was happening tonight. So I can try and answer as many questions as possible here. None of the plans have changed since they were last presented to you. This is just rewriting the comprehensive permit decision to reflect those changes and carry them through in all the various places where the decision was affected by them.
So basically, this is putting in writing the decision, I guess, decision or non-decision that what was re-proposed was not a significant modification to the comprehensive permit that was submitted and approved on the initial application.
Correct. So the way that the law is written is the zoning board of appeals can make findings that the changes are not substantial based on certain criteria listed in the law, which I think you have a copy of. Our city solicitor sent some things to Dylan that I believe you have before you now and details some of that criteria. Am I right?
That was all in the previous packet. I didn't receive anything specifically related to this one, but we sent out that. I believe reference I think it's in your packet. for the attorney's wording for how to make the motion and references to CMR that could fall
Yeah.
for reference at the last meeting.
Right, so it's the same findings, that you discussed when the revised plans were presented to you. Basically the fact that it's being made smaller, there are less units, et cetera, that it qualifies as an insubstantial change. So yes, saying the plans have not changed. They're just asking for the written decision to be updated. They feel it will be helpful for them when they're going through their process of closing on all their financing for the project, that the legal documents are all consistent with what the plans actually show.
As opposed to 3 buildings and all the other stuff.
Right. Yeah, that would probably be confusing for lenders. Concerning too.
Worth noting from Attorney Mark Tanner regarding this, it's his opinion that the board could accept the amended decision as it's insubstantial, and that would be defensible, but that's not the same as saying you have to, just if you can. That being said, if you read through it, you folks do feel that the changes are substantial enough for the warrant reopening a public hearing, that's still something you could vote to do.
So,
Thanks.
Dylan, just a quick question on that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the case that the lawyer Mark also believes that it would be defensible to consider this a substantial change? I take it like he thinks we could go either way and that it's not necessarily clear, or am I misreading that other side of the coin?
I think the other one is but we weren't asked that specifically, but I think that one's a lot more clear. If you could definitely say that modifying the permit is substantial and opening that up. I don't think, that one's controversial.
Interesting. Because if the changes are the same as last time, like we did this.
Yeah.
And
So I
we-
just want to clarify, my conversations with Mark were that he feels that this is acceptable for you.
all we're doing is putting in writing what we decided at the last hearing.
Correct, yeah, so it's, you have discretion, of course, as a board to make your own decision. But the city solicitor did keep.
Yeah, I'm less concerned about what the city solicitor says. I'm just trying to understand the process as to, we had a hearing where the, community builders came, they presented their changes.
Mhm.
And we determined that they were insubstantial.
Correct.
And then from there, what happened that got us to here?
So what happened there was they had submitted kind of as part of the whole packet, a lot of information, including an amended permit that was essentially their red line version of it, to which this is not something that by that meeting the city attorney had reviewed. So it wouldn't have been, a good idea to accept just kind of an applicant red line version of a permit that hadn't been reviewed. Now that has been reviewed by the city attorney. They went back and forth making changes, and now this is the document that is in a point where the city feels comfortable with it. That, the applicant isn't going in a direction that the city didn't agree to initially in that comprehensive permit that you folks didn't agree to.
Where Mark said the changes that were made have not been, the changes that we accepted as not being significant. I don't think those have changed.
Right.
So.
That's kind of what I'm confused about. But I guess this is our chance to double check and make absolutely sure that the specific words that our decision influenced fall in line with the decision that we made. So if in these red lines, there's something that we're like, actually, whoa, that is significant, even though we're being told that there wouldn't be anything different, then this would be the chance to catch it. I'm just confused because we're being told there isn't anything different.
Yes, everything you just said, yes.
Okay.
So going
thumbs
through
up.
all the written changes and that they are consistent with what you believed you were voting on the last time. Um,
And a lot, from what I gathered from reading the red lines, a lot of it is just
jargon.
jargon. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's making sure that we're clear on exactly, what is being written, as opposed to, the board, and from it, it stipulates who they really are and takes along those lines. It's more legalese than it is. There's nothing within the decision that's changed.
Correct. So the original decision was written by a different attorney. And so our city solicitor has his own style. TCB's attorneys have their own style. And this is kind of the mishmash of all of that, and which is hopefully clearer for everybody.
Mhm. Yeah, and I see updates to make sure that the amended plans are being referred to, and updates to the number of units in line with the decision that we made, and then a whole lot of typos and thes and a's.
Just a short while ago, I distributed to the board here. It's the same document, just with the typos fixed. Everything else is substantively the same.
Let me open that file.
So I do want to note there's some changes to, there's, I think, a change to one of the conditions related to the sewer design. And then there's changes to the waivers, which are a consequence of like the unit count changing and the massing, the building being consolidated into one. You had initially granted a waiver on the maximum number of units per building. And that it was in the 40s, I think, in the original decision, and now it's 56 or however many units are proposed for a single building. And so it was condition H3. I don't know if it's moved around since all of the changes. That's the one about the sewer. If you want to take a closer look at that, and I can answer questions about that too.
If you like, I can go ahead and just read that. I've got it up here.
Yeah, if you know exactly where that is.
Yep. It's H3. Yeah, the project shall connect to the sewer line in Wamelco Way unless the Director of Public Works approves an alternative connection consistent with the alternative shown in the amended plans. So in the amended plans, they're proposing that they want to connect to Main Street and use a diverter to divert flow from Main Street to Wamelco Way. I guess this is something to do with the grading. It would be easier to connect to Main Street, or better for the project to connect to Main Street. But there's a question of, can they divert more flow from Main Street to Wamelco than they would be putting in from the new project, I believe is the question. That would be ultimately determined by the DPW director, or if they can't meet that, then they're still required to just connect to Wamelco Way and not put a greater strain on Main Street is the idea.
Okay, and that would be a decision that the DPW would make based on their expertise and engineers.
Correct. And it's what, ultimately it's going to be put forward, kind of that final plan set. He would have that to say, no, this doesn't meet the standards that we want, or yes, it does. And that
The
would be,
DPW would be making that decision.
Yeah, the DPW director, currently Craig Nuttall.
Right, or representative of you.
Yeah. So the city has to issue a permit for any connections to our sewer, and he wouldn't approve the permit for the direct connection to Main Street if there wasn't evidence presented by them that an equal or greater amount of flow was being diverted to Wamelco. And those plans were presented to you at the last meeting. I just don't think it was described in that level of detail.
Okay. Okay, anything else?
That's really kind of the big one. Rest of the changes, I kind of looked through it. Yeah, it kind of relates directly to the changing of the size from 3 buildings down to 1. It's the balance of the building.
I see your hand. I'll get to you. Don't worry. Just want to, we'll get to public comment in a few minutes. Okay. So that's pretty straightforward. We're still, the city is still in control of things. That is the biggest question that I have for that. Okay, does the board have any questions before we open it for public comment questions? Matt?
I have just a question for Dylan. Is it the case that we are going to basically do the same thing we did last time, where we look at that same section of CFR and see if we have the same findings?
I think it's more or less the same. It's just making a finding that the changes are insubstantial and do not warrant a reopening of the public hearing.
Based on that definition of insubstantial, which I remember from last time, to me was pretty significant, because insubstantial doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't feel substantial. It's what was defined.
Yes, it's stemming from that same CMR, and it's just kind of, a part of that. It's the same thing, because now as you accept that, then it kind of naturally, you then have to accept the amended permit.
Okay.
Onwards.
Yes. All right. Public speak or question.
Krasinski, Overlook Drive. So regarding the sewer flow change, it doesn't not clear as to what flow would be changing. Are they talking about changing the flow from Southampton down to Winnemucca Way? Okay.
Yeah.
And if that's not possible and the developer has to connect to Winnemucca Way, they are going to need a pumping station, is my understanding, to get it up there.
That's their problem, because they would require that if that's the case. I don't know what the elevations are. I'm not the DPW director, so I can't.
Right. This was reviewed in previous meetings.
Yeah.
And also with the Conservation Commission. I just don't want to see the city ending up having to assume the cost of a pumping station, or somehow if the property is abandoned and there's a pumping station that's pumping stuff up there that needs to be maintained.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can put that in there that, the city should not assume any financial burden for the affluent that this location is going to produce. Now in public record. Okay. Any other questions, concerns?
I think the sewer thing becomes a pretty substantial change because it's still not clear and there is no sewer plan as best as I can tell. Yes.
Well, there is. There's two alternates of the way they can do it, so it's one or the other, whichever one works the best.
Yeah, and there again, that's why the in writing it says that it's the Department of Public Works decision, because they're responsible for the sewer. That's why I was very clear in saying, so it's the Department of Public Works or, director or representative that makes that final decision. It's the developer. It's not done on a whim. Any other questions?
So so they have
I'm sorry,
my name is Jean Powell Wilson. I'm the resident next to 385 Main Street, at 377 Main Street. So the sewer, I'm sorry, I lost my thoughts, but just give me a second. All right, I'll have to bring that later.
Okay. Any other further discussions, questions, concerns?
Close public comment.
Right. Motion to close public comment. Yeah. You can second yourself, so I will second. All right.
Dylan, could you remind me the CFR number that we're looking at to decide what counts as substantial?
John has that in front of him. Line 3 there.
Yeah, we determined such amendments to be enforceable pursuant of 760 CMR 56.05 verse 11.
Thank you. Found it. Eight.
Counts us.
Yes. Discussion among the board.
7, 8, 9, 10. Found it.
Yeah, really. Yes.
Max, what'd you find?
Can I share my screen? Is that
Should be
allowed?
able-
I think you should be able to.
Yeah.
Let
yeah,
me
the
make sure
ability.
I have nothing. Okay, we're good. Here we go. And then Dylan can tell me if this is not the thing. Is this the thing?
That is the thing.
Okay. Where's the part
Chapter
about the substantiality? Am I not in the right spot?
Right there. Whoa,
No.
I think you had it when you.
right there.
Okay.
11.
The change is determined to be insubstantial. There's a definition of insubstantial change in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reference was just above that line that you highlighted.
Ah, 56075. Let's go on an adventure. Surfing the CFR. 076 3. Oh, what am I doing here? Who put me in charge of this? Okay, we found it.
Self-appointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're driving this bus.
Defines the conditions economic. Yep, this is not the substantiality.
I think it was the reference, it was like the line literally right above the one you had highlighted. It's, I think it was 56, I think it's 4, section 4.
There we go. We found it. Voila. Okay. So, substantial. Increase of more than 10% in the height of the building. No.
No.
Increase of more than 10% in the number of housing units. No. Reduction of size of the site of more than 10% in excess of any decrease in the number of housing units proposed. Nope. A change in building type. No. Change from one form of housing tenure to another. No.
No.
I don't think the change that we're talking about falls under any of the falls in a category similar to these categories. And again, I will say that, generally will be does not say these are versus aren't. This says generally will be versus generally will not be, which is very specific language. Reduction in the number of housing units proposed, not substantial. Cool. Decrease of less than 10%. Cool. These are just sort of examples that would theoretically, we'd say that this change is in line with by saying that this is not a substantial change.
Yep.
Sweet. I found the rule.
All right. So with that said, we'll make a motion to accept the,
It's on line 3 was the wording for it.
well, I'll read this whole thing because that makes it easier. On January 28th, 2026, we reviewed certain amendments to the comprehensive permit issued on October 2nd, 2024. Following our review, we determined such amendments to be immaterial pursuant of 760 CMR 56.05 verse 11. Upon request, the city solicitor incorporated the amendments into the comprehensive permit previously issued on October 2nd, 2025.
That was the original one on
We-
25. The 24.
24.
Then. Yeah, sorry, 24, yes. You're
Yep.
correct.
I move that we accept the amended decision, application for a comprehensive permit dated March 24th, 2026 under Mass General Law, Chapter 40B, Section 20-23.
I second the motion.
We have a motion made and second. All in favor?
Hey.
We have 5 in favor, leaving 0 opposed. The motion is made and carried. Thank you.
Sorry.
And,
I had to
thank
be
you
the
for coming in and
stand-in.
explaining it. And
I was working extra late.
So Our next meeting is April 22nd at 6 p.m. at this fine location.
Try to get us upstairs if I can. Otherwise, see you guys back down here.
Yeah, close here.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, third.
All right, thank you much.
Good night, Gracie.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.